Imagine a book that's been influencing the way people build relationships, communicate, and lead for over 80 years. That's exactly what How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie has done since it was first published in 1936. This timeless guide has changed the lives of millions by teaching principles that aren't just about gaining favor or manipulating people. Instead, it's about creating real connections, fostering trust, and inspiring positive influence, all in a way that benefits everyone involved. Whether you're looking to improve your social interactions, climb the career ladder, or simply make deeper, more meaningful connections with those around you, Carnegie's wisdom can show you how. This book helps you understand people better, connect with them on a genuine level, and become a more effective communicator and leader. In today's video, we'll be diving into some of the most powerful ideas from the book. Together, we'll explore how you can take these insights and apply them in your own life to make lasting, positive changes. So, let's jump right in and unlock some life-changing secrets. Part 1. Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. In this part of the book, Dale Carnegie teaches us how to build positive relationships and handle people effectively, shares three essential principles that can transform how we interact with others. Let's dive into these ideas with simple, easy to understand explanations. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Imagine you're at work and your colleague makes a mistake on a project. It's tempting to criticize them, but think about how you'd feel if someone pointed out your flaws in front of others. Most people would feel hurt, defensive, or even angry. Carnegie explains that criticism rarely works because it damages relationships and makes people resentful. Instead, he suggests trying to understand why someone made the mistake. Maybe they were under pressure or didn't have enough information. By showing understanding instead of blame, you open the door to a positive discussion and build trust. For example, instead of saying, "You messed this up," you could say, "I noticed this didn't go as planned. Can we figure out what happened and how to fix it together?" This approach keeps the conversation constructive and encourages collaboration. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Think about a time when someone complimented your hard work. Didn't it make you feel good? Carnegie highlights that everyone loves to feel valued and appreciated. When we acknowledge others sincerely, we make them feel important and motivated. The key here is honesty. Don't give fake compliments just to win favor. Instead, look for real reasons to appreciate someone. For instance, if a friend helps you with a task, you could say, "I really appreciate how you took the time to help me out. It means a lot." This kind of genuine recognition strengthens relationships and inspires goodwill. Carnegie warns against flattery, which is insincere praise. People can usually tell when someone is not being genuine, and it can backfire. True appreciation, on the other hand, leaves a lasting positive impact, arouse in the other person an eager want. People are naturally interested in their own needs and desires. Carnegie explains that to influence others, we need to show them how they can benefit from our ideas or requests. For example, imagine you're asking your child to study. Instead of saying, "You have to study because I said so," you could say, "If you study well, you'll understand the subject better and get good grades, which can help you achieve your dreams." This approach makes studying seem valuable to them rather than just a chore. Similarly, in the workplace, if you need a teammate's help, frame your request by showing how it aligns with their goals. For instance, "If we finish this project successfully, it'll be a great achievement for the whole team, and you'll get to showcase your skills to management." By focusing on what others want, you can inspire them to take action willingly instead of feeling forced. Carnegie's advice in these three principles is simple but powerful. Avoid criticizing because it creates resentment. Instead, try to understand and approach issues kindly. Always look for opportunities to genuinely appreciate others, as it builds stronger connections. Lastly, when you want someone to do something, think about what's important to them and present it in a way that benefits both of you. Following these ideas makes it easier to build trust, create harmony, and lead others without conflict. It's a small shift in mindset that can lead to big changes in your personal and professional relationships. Part 2. 6 Ways to Make People Like You In this section of How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie shares 6 practical and effective techniques that can help you build better relationships and become more likable to others. These techniques are centered around kindness, attentiveness, and showing genuine interest in others. Let's explore these methods in more detail through examples and clear explanations. 4. Do this, and you'll be welcome anywhere. Have you ever walked into a room full of strangers, feeling uncertain and wondering how to start a conversation? Carnegie tells us that the key to making people like you and feel comfortable around you is genuine interest in others. People love to talk about themselves, and when you show real curiosity about them, it makes them feel valued and appreciated. When you ask someone about their life, their experiences, and their opinions, you give them the opportunity to express themselves. This makes the conversation more enjoyable for them, and they will feel more positively about you. Rather than focusing on what you want to say or how to impress them, focus on making them feel important by listening and showing interest. For example, let's say you meet someone new at a social gathering. Instead of introducing yourself and starting to talk about your own interests, try asking them about their hobbies, work, or personal experiences. Ask open-ended questions like, "What do you enjoy doing in your free time?" Or, "How did you get into your career?" By giving them the chance to share their passions, you make them feel important, and they will be more likely to like you in return. 5. A simple way to make a good first impression. First impressions matter a lot. You've probably heard that before, but Carnegie highlights a simple yet incredibly effective way to make a lasting and positive impression on someone. Smile. A smile is a universal sign of warmth and friendliness, and it instantly makes you appear approachable. When you smile at someone, it creates a welcoming atmosphere and helps put both you and the other person at ease. Smiling communicates that you're happy to meet them and that you're open to conversation. It's a gesture that costs nothing, but can make a huge difference in how others perceive you. Think about the last time someone greeted you with a smile. Didn't it make you feel comfortable and positive about the interaction? Similarly, when you greet others with a smile, you invite them to feel the same way. Smiling also has a positive effect on your own mood. It makes you feel more confident and relaxed, which helps you engage in conversations more easily. For example, if you walk into a meeting or a social event where you don't know many people, start by smiling as you introduce yourself. It will create a friendly environment and set the tone for a pleasant interaction. 6. If you don't do this, you are headed for trouble. One of the simplest but most powerful ways to make someone feel important is by remembering their name. Carnegie emphasizes that a person's name is the most important word to them in any language. When you call someone by their name, it makes them feel recognized and respected, and it helps strengthen your connection with them. If you forget someone's name, it can make them feel unimportant or neglected. So remembering and using people's names in conversation is a great way to build rapport and make them feel good about themselves. For example, let's say you meet a new person at work or a party. Instead of just calling them "hey" or "you," make an effort to remember their name. Say something like, "Nice to meet you, Sarah," and continue using their name throughout the conversation. This small act makes the other person feel more comfortable and valued. If you struggle to remember names, Carnegie suggests repeating the name back to the person when you first meet them, such as, "It's great to meet you, Sarah." You can also use the name during the conversation to help reinforce it in your memory. How 7. An easy way to become a good conversationalist. Being a great conversationalist isn't about talking the most or being the most entertaining. It's about being a good listener. Carnegie explains that the best way to be an engaging conversationalist is to encourage the other person to talk about themselves. People love to share their experiences, thoughts, and feelings, and when you allow them to do so, it creates a more enjoyable and meaningful conversation for both of you. To become a good conversationalist, instead of focusing on what you're going to say next, focus on asking questions and actively listening to the answers. This makes the other person feel heard and appreciated, and it creates a deeper connection between you. For example, if you're talking to someone at a party, Rather than talking about your own recent vacation, ask them about theirs. You could say, I'd love to hear about your favorite travel experience. Or, what's the best place you've ever visited? These kinds of questions allow the other person to share their thoughts, which makes the conversation flow naturally. When you actively listen, avoid interrupting or thinking about your next response. Instead, show genuine interest in what they are saying and give them the space to express themselves fully. 8. How to interest people. Have you ever been stuck in a conversation with someone who seemed uninterested in what you were saying? It can feel frustrating. Carnegie teaches us that the key to interesting others is talking about what they care about. When you understand what excites or interests the other person, you can steer the conversation in that direction and keep them engaged. To do this, pay attention to clues in the conversation. Look for things that seem to excite the other person or topics that spark their enthusiasm. Once you know what they care about, you can bring up related topics that interest them. This makes the conversation feel more natural and enjoyable for them, as they are talking about something they are passionate about. For example, if someone loves cooking, you can ask them about their favorite recipes or cooking techniques. This shows that you care about their interests and helps build rapport. The more you focus on what excites the other person, the more likely they are to engage in the conversation and enjoy it. 9. How to make people like you instantly. If you want to create a strong connection with someone quickly, Carnegie emphasizes that being genuinely interested in them is the best approach. This principle is similar to the others, but it focuses on making the other person feel like they are the most important person in the room. When you make someone feel special and truly valued, they are much more likely to like you instantly. To do this, listen attentively. Ask questions that show you care about their experiences and express empathy for their feelings. When people feel understood and appreciated, they naturally develop positive feelings towards you. For example, if you meet someone new at a social event, ask them about their work, interests, or family. Listen carefully to their answers and show that you care about what they're saying by making thoughtful comments or asking follow-up questions. This makes them feel good about the conversation, and they will likely feel good about you as well. When you take the time to make others feel important and respected, you quickly build a foundation for a positive relationship. Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking, a detailed and in-depth narrative summary. In this part of How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie focuses on the art of persuasion, how to get people to see things your way without confrontation or manipulation. The principles in this section emphasize kindness, humility, and empathy. Instead of trying to force your ideas onto others, Carnegie teaches you how to inspire and guide them to see things from your perspective while preserving their dignity and strengthening your relationship. Let's dive deep into each chapter, exploring the techniques and methods in detail, using examples for better understanding. 10. You can't win an argument. Carnegie argues that winning an argument is a lose-lose situation, even if you're technically correct. Winning doesn't make the other person agree with you or feel positively about you. In fact, it often leads to resentment, damage to relationships, and hardened positions. People tend to defend their own viewpoints fiercely when they feel attacked or wronged, and a direct confrontation often leads to more disagreement rather than agreement. Instead of engaging in arguments, Carnegie advises us to avoid them altogether. The goal is not to win, but to find common ground and lead the conversation in a direction where both parties can see and understand each other's viewpoints. Instead of trying to defeat the other person, ask questions that invite them to think deeply about the issue. For example, if you're having a debate with a friend over a movie you both saw, instead of insisting, "You're wrong, the movie was amazing," you could say, "What did you think of the plot twist?" This way, you're not attacking their opinion, but rather inviting them to explore their own thoughts more deeply. It turns the conversation into a dialogue rather than a battle. 11. A sure way of making enemies, and how to avoid it. One of the quickest ways to make enemies, Carnegie explains, is by directly telling someone that they are wrong. especially in front of others. Criticizing or condemning others harshly only leads to resentment and defensiveness, not productive conversation. When you tell someone they're wrong, it's easy for them to feel insulted or embarrassed. Instead of persuading them, you drive them further away. To avoid this, Carnegie suggests using a more tactful approach, avoiding direct criticism, and making others feel like they are valued. One of the best ways to deal with disagreements is to ask questions or offer suggestions instead of pointing out mistakes directly. The goal is to lead the person to discover the solution themselves. For instance, if a colleague makes an error in their work, instead of saying, "You did this wrong," try asking, "Have you considered doing it this way?" This subtle approach avoids putting them on the defensive and opens the door for them to think critically and accept your point of view without feeling criticized. 12. If you're wrong, admit it. It takes a lot of courage and humility to admit when you're wrong, but Carnegie argues that admitting your mistakes is one of the best ways to earn the respect of others. When you admit you've made a mistake, you show that you're honest, self-aware, and willing to learn. People appreciate humility, and this helps build trust in your relationships. Admitting your mistakes, especially early on, prevents you from digging yourself into a hole of defensiveness or blame shifting. It allows the conversation to move forward without resentment or frustration. For example, imagine you misspoke in a meeting or made an error in a report. Instead of covering up or blaming someone else, Carnegie suggests saying something like, "I made a mistake in that report and I apologize. Let me correct it." This shows maturity, honesty, and confidence, and it will encourage others to be more forgiving and cooperative. A drop of honey. Carnegie uses the metaphor of a drop of honey to describe the power of kindness and sweetness in persuading others. Instead of using a harsh or commanding tone, which can push people away, use a gentle, friendly approach to win people over. People respond better to warmth and kindness than they do to anger or criticism. For example, when you need to ask someone to do something, Carnegie suggests using a polite and positive approach. "Could you please help me with this?" Instead of a demanding, "Do this right now." The first approach makes the person feel respected, and they're more likely to comply willingly. Think about a time when someone smiled at you and kindly asked for your help. You were probably more than happy to offer your assistance because of their friendly demeanor. Similarly, people are more likely to respond positively when you approach them with kindness, rather than with anger or frustration. 14. The secret of Socrates. Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, was a master at leading people to the truth by asking the right questions. Instead of telling people what to think or believe, he asked questions that encouraged them to think for themselves and discover the answer on their own. Carnegie suggests that we can use the same approach to influence others. Instead of directly telling someone they're wrong or trying to persuade them with a long argument, ask thought-provoking questions that lead them to see things from your perspective. This method allows the other person to come to their own conclusion, making them more likely to accept the idea. For instance, if you're trying to convince a friend to take better care of their health, instead of saying, "You should eat healthier," ask, "What do you think would happen if you started eating more fruits and vegetables?" This method makes the person think about the consequences of their actions, and they're more likely to consider the idea without feeling forced. 15. The safety valve in handling complaints. When someone is upset or complaining, the natural instinct might be to defend yourself or deny the issue. However, Carnegie advises that listening carefully and empathetically to complaints can be a safety valve that diffuses the situation and makes the person feel heard and understood. When you listen attentively to complaints, you allow the other person to vent their frustration without interrupting or arguing. This helps them feel like their concerns are valid and that you're taking them seriously. Acknowledging their emotions creates a sense of understanding, and it often leads to a more positive resolution. For example, if a customer is upset about a service issue, instead of arguing or offering excuses, Carnegie recommends saying, "I understand why you're upset, and I'm really sorry this happened. Let's see how we can make it right." This approach shows empathy and makes the person feel that their feelings matter. How to get cooperation. When you need cooperation, make the other person feel important and valued. Carnegie explains that people are more willing to cooperate when they feel like their involvement is meaningful. Rather than issuing commands or giving instructions, frame your request in a way that makes the person feel like they're contributing to something important. For example, instead of saying, "I need you to help me with this," you could say, "I'd really appreciate your help with this project. Your skills would make a huge difference." This not only makes the person feel valued, but it also motivates them to contribute to the task. 17. A formula that will work wonders for you. Carnegie introduces a simple but powerful formula for dealing with others. Start with praise and honest appreciation before offering any criticism or suggestions for improvement. This approach helps soften the impact of negative feedback and makes the other person more receptive to it. People are much more likely to accept criticism when it's framed in a positive context. For instance, if an employee's work isn't up to standard, you could say, "You've done some great work on this project, and I really appreciate your efforts. I think if we focus a little more on specific area, we can make it even better." This method makes the person feel appreciated first, and they are more likely to be open to your suggestions. 18. What everybody wants. At the core of human nature, Carnegie suggests, is the universal desire to feel important. People want to feel that they matter and that their contributions are valued. If you want to influence others, you must make them feel significant and important. For example, if you want someone to help you with a project, instead of asking them like they're just another employee, tell them, "I value your expertise and insight. Your input will be invaluable in making this project a success." By acknowledging their importance, you make them more willing to cooperate with you. 19. An appeal that everybody likes. One of the most effective ways to persuade someone is to appeal to their noble motives. People like to feel that they're doing something for a good cause or contributing to a higher purpose. When you can tie your request to a higher ideal, people are more likely to get on board. For example, if you want to encourage your colleagues to volunteer for a charity event, don't focus on the benefits to them. Instead, emphasize how their participation will help others and make a difference in the community. 20. The movies do it. TV does it. Why don't you do it? Carnegie emphasizes the power of storytelling in persuading and influencing others. People are more engaged by stories than by dry facts and figures. By framing your message in a story, you can capture attention and appeal to emotions. For example, instead of simply stating, "This product is the best on the market," tell a story about how someone used the product and how it improved their life. Storytelling is a powerful tool that makes your message memorable and impactful. 21. When nothing else works, try this. When all else fails, Carnegie advises you to let the other person save face. If you've made a mistake or if the other person has lost face, offer a way for them to recover their dignity. People are more likely to work with you if they feel respected and their reputation is preserved. For example, if you've criticized someone in front of others, after the situation is over, you might quietly compliment them or acknowledge their strengths. This helps them regain their confidence and keeps the relationship intact. In Part 3, Carnegie teaches how to win people to your way of thinking by using strategies that prioritize respect, empathy, and understanding. Instead of arguing, criticizing, or trying to force your views on others, focus on guiding them with kindness, humility, and questions. Whether it's admitting your mistakes, offering praise, appealing to their motives, or using stories, these methods create an atmosphere of cooperation and mutual respect. By practicing these principles, you can influence others without causing friction, leading to more positive outcomes in both personal and professional interactions. Part 4. Be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. In-depth and detailed narrative summary. In the final section of How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie shifts focus to the role of a leader. He emphasizes that effective leadership is not about giving orders or demanding compliance, but about guiding and influencing others in a way that respects their dignity and fosters a sense of cooperation. Carnegie presents principles that allow a leader to influence people positively without causing resentment or negative emotions. These principles focus on how to correct mistakes, motivate others, and offer constructive feedback. Here's a more detailed exploration of the core lessons of Part 4. 22. If you must find fault, this is the way to begin. When you need to criticize or correct someone, start with genuine praise. Carnegie believes that beginning with something positive makes the criticism easier to accept. If you immediately dive into the negative, the person will become defensive and feel attacked. Starting with praise softens the impact of the criticism, and the individual is more likely to listen and be receptive. Imagine a situation where an employee makes a mistake in a project. Instead of saying, "You failed to deliver on time," you might begin with, "You've been putting in a lot of hard work on this project, and it's clear you're committed. However, I think there's one area where we can improve." This approach reassures the person that their effort is recognized, and it makes the upcoming criticism feel more like constructive feedback than a personal attack. 23. How to criticize and not be hated for it. Criticism is necessary sometimes, but how you deliver it is key to maintaining respect and goodwill. Carnegie advises against using harsh language or blaming the person directly. Instead, offer feedback in a tactful, gentle, and empathetic manner. For example, if someone has made a mistake, instead of saying, "You did this completely wrong," you might say, "I can see how you might have come to that conclusion, but I think a different approach would work better. Here's how we can improve it together." By doing this, you not only make the person feel less defensive, but also demonstrate your willingness to collaborate and help them improve. In this chapter, Carnegie emphasizes that the goal is to build the person up, not tear them down. People are more likely to take your criticism constructively if it is accompanied by an understanding attitude and if they see that you genuinely want to help them get better. Talk about your own mistakes first. To make the other person feel comfortable and to soften the feedback, Carnegie suggests sharing your own mistakes first. This shows humility and makes the other person feel that they're not being singled out. When you share your personal experience of making similar mistakes, it creates an atmosphere of empathy and reduces the potential for defensiveness. For instance, if a colleague is struggling with a task rather than just pointing out what they're doing wrong, you could say, "I've made a similar mistake before, and here's what I learned from it." This demonstrates that everyone makes mistakes, and it provides a context in which the other person can accept their own shortcomings without feeling humiliated. 25. No one likes to take orders. No one enjoys being ordered around, whether at work, home, or in social situations. Carnegie advises against giving direct orders. Instead, try to suggest, encourage, or ask for cooperation. People feel more respected and are more likely to follow instructions when they are given the freedom to make decisions for themselves. For example, if you need your team to stay late to finish a project, don't say, "Stay late tonight and finish this." Instead, say, "I know this is a big task. What do you think about staying late to wrap it up? I believe we can get it done faster together." By framing the request as a collaboration rather than a command, the team member feels more in control and is more likely to agree. 26. Let the other person save face. When people make mistakes, they often feel embarrassed. Carnegie's principle here is about preserving their dignity and avoiding making them feel humiliated. When someone fails or makes a mistake, it's crucial to let them save face by correcting the issue in a way that does not make them feel inferior or disrespected. For example, if an employee makes a mistake in a public setting, don't call them out in front of others. Instead, speak to them privately and say, "I know you were trying your best. Let's go over this together and see how we can fix it for next time." This not only protects their self-respect, but also shows that you're invested in their success, not just pointing out their flaws. 27. How to spur people on to success. Positive reinforcement is one of the most powerful tools for motivating people. Carnegie teaches that by highlighting people's strengths and praising them for their successes, you help them build confidence and motivation to keep improving. For instance, If an employee has made progress on a difficult task, say, "You've really come a long way with this project, and I can see how much effort you've put in. Keep it up." This kind of praise makes the person feel good about their work, which increases their motivation to continue striving for success. It also helps them feel valued and appreciated. 28. Give a dog a good name. Carnegie explains that people often live up to the labels or expectations we place on them. If you label someone as capable and intelligent, they will generally work hard to meet those expectations. Giving someone a good name and high expectations helps motivate them to live up to that image. For example, if you consistently praise a team member for their creativity, they will begin to see themselves as creative and may work harder to come up with new ideas. The label you give them influences their behavior, so always choose to label them positively and with faith in their abilities. 29. Make the fault seem easy to correct. When people feel overwhelmed by their mistakes, they may become discouraged and not know where to begin fixing things. Carnegie suggests making the correction process seem simple and achievable. If an employee makes a mistake, instead of saying, "This is really complicated and it's going to take a long time to fix," try saying, "This is just a small thing we need to tweak, and it will be easy to fix together." This makes the person feel that the solution is within their reach, which motivates them to take action rather than feeling defeated by the problem. 30. Making people glad to do what you want. The final principle of leadership is about making people feel good about doing what you want them to do. People are more likely to help you if they feel that their involvement is important and valued. Carnegie suggests that you should frame requests in a way that makes others feel honored and motivated to help. For example, if you need a team member to handle a challenging task, instead of saying, "I need you to take care of this," you might say, "I know you have the skills to handle this task, and I'd really appreciate it if you could take it on. It would mean a lot to me." This approach makes the person feel important and trusted, which increases the chances they will accept the task with enthusiasm. In Part 4, Carnegie teaches that leadership isn't about asserting authority or commanding people to follow you. Instead, it's about guiding others in a way that fosters respect, cooperation, and goodwill. The most effective leaders are those who can correct mistakes with tact, motivate others with encouragement, and inspire trust without making others feel humiliated or resentful. By applying these principles, leaders can create an environment where people feel valued, appreciated, and motivated to perform their best. Whether you're in a managerial role or simply trying to influence others, these techniques will help you lead with empathy, respect, and understanding. As we reach the end of How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's clear that Dale Carnegie's lessons are not just about making people like you. They're about making genuine connections that can change your life. The book shows us that success in relationships and leadership comes from treating people with kindness, respect, and understanding. Throughout the book, Carnegie teaches us simple ways to influence others, but in a way that makes them feel valued and appreciated. From listening more than speaking, to showing real interest in others, to praising them when they deserve it, these small actions can make a big difference in the way people respond to you. One of the key takeaways from the book is that people crave recognition. If you can make someone feel important and truly cared for, you'll earn their trust and respect. And when you can do this, you'll find that doors open for you in both personal and professional situations. But the most powerful lesson is that change starts with you. If you want to improve your relationships and your ability to influence others, you need to begin by changing the way you think about and treat others. By following Carnegie's principles, you'll not only become a better communicator, but also a better person. Someone who brings out the best in others and helps create a positive environment wherever you go. So, whether you're looking to build friendships, succeed in business, or lead a team, the lessons from this book are timeless. They remind us that the key to success is simple. Treat others as you would want to be treated, with kindness and understanding, and you'll win their friendship and influence. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me. If you found the video helpful, Please like, subscribe, and share it with others. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment.